if this drags out and if there's not a deal found here in the next month and it goes into August and you get closer to training camp, Brooklyn, they don't have to take a deal that they don't want to do. They don't have to talk themselves into a deal. But then at the same time, I think Kevin Durant, as he looks at the situation, could he look at it differently over time? That's certainly a possibility. And I think as you look, if you're Kevin Durant and you start to look at the teams that you might land at, and then what those teams might look like after they have to unload so many assets, I think that's why there's no rush in this process.
No rush indeed. Brian Windhorst is here with us. And Brian, what is going on in Brooklyn?
So when the Nets put Kevin Durant on the trade block, it's never a good thing when you have to trade a star player. And one of the things is because no matter how you may try, negotiating from position of strength is very, very difficult. So when they first put him on the trade block, they were expecting an incredible amount of offers to come in. And a lot of teams did call. But the bar that the Nets have for what they want for Durant and the bar that is actually right that those teams feel they have to clear is there's a big gap there. And one of the reasons is because it is well known within the league that Durant prefers to go to the Suns. But the Suns package is not that they can offer. It's not really super impressive just because of they can't trade Devin Booker. It doesn't make sense to trade Chris Paul. DeAndre Ayton is not really desired by the Nets. And so when teams like the Raptors or the Heat or the Pelicans or anybody else who has interest in Durant, they're looking at the bar that the Suns have to clear. They only have to jump over that bar. They don't have to meet the Nets bar. And that delta is why the Nets are not making progress right now. And that's why you hear the Nets saying, well, look, if we can't get what we want, maybe we're just going to keep him, which is a negotiating position. I mean, it could end up being true, but that is a negotiating position. And I think one of the things, that could happen here is if Durant is willing to be more open to where he would go, because a team that is trades for Durant where Durant isn't maybe excited about going is going to, be worried that in a year he could ask the same thing of them. And so that's going to affect what they're going to offer for him. Again, trading a star is hard. And one more thing. What's happened with the Utah Jazz over the last week has impacted the Nets in kind of a double way and both kind of negative. They trade Rudy Gobert in a incredible asset haul for first-round picks. And so the concept would be that, oh my gosh, that sets a new bar for what the Nets can get for Durant. But the truth is, that's not the way the league looked at it. The league looked at that as, oh my God, what a horrible overpay. Who were the Wolves bidding against? We don't want to be that team. And then secondly, there was a feel that Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz would be headed for a separation and that another star coming into the market would potentially create opportunities for leveraging points. Maybe Mitchell could be involved in a Durant trade and you would get more action going. But that hasn't happened. The Jazz have told everybody that they're not trading Donovan Mitchell right now, and Donovan Mitchell has not forced the issue. He has not asked the Jazz to be traded. He is sort of just sitting back and seeing what's out. So I don't see a Mitchell trade in the short term. All of that piled together gets a frozen marketplace for Durant with the Nets trying to create some leverage by threatening not to trade him at all.